Oh. I'm thinking of losing the beanie for a little while. It's starting to get a little too warm for it, but it will come back. I'd like to start out today's video by saying something pretty controversial. Are you ready? Alright. The only reason that Spyro 3 has garnered so much hate and animosity towards it in the past few years is because everyone collectively said, fuck it. Stop thinking for themselves and bought into the Stimpyland's opinion. Either that or you just don't like the game. But you know what? I don't care what you think! Okay, so maybe that wasn't the best way to start things out. So allow me to ease the tension by changing the subject. Were you aware that men think of sex every 7 seconds? I know, it's mind-blowing. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here to talk about something purple and scaly. Spyro, of course!
Okay, look. I've done 2 videos on the Spyro series. You know, one on the first game and the other on the second. So I'm pretty sure that I don't need to go over who Spyro the Dragon is or why his games are better than any game that Activision puts out. But what does need to be gone over is why people hate this game so damn much. It's the equivalent to hating Crash 2 or Jak 2. It's just something that I can't understand.
And, needless to say, I'm one of the people that thinks Spyro Year of the Dragon, which I'm just going to be referring to as Spyro 3 since it's easier to say, is the best out of the PlayStation's original trilogy. And I'm not going to make any jokes or go into Insomniac's history, we're just going to get right into it. And there you go. What? You act like you've never seen a copy of Spyro 3. But let me assure you that you're about to have your testicles blown off. Or ovaries if you're a girl. To which I say, Tu es l'amour de mi vie, vas-tu look fantastic.
That was French. I just spoke French. This game wasn't released in Japan.
And if you don't believe me when I say that this game is badass, not even 15 seconds into the damn title screen, and Spyro's already rammed his horns up this guy's ass. So the game begins and it looks like some mad stuff went down. There's dragons knocked out all over the place, dragon eggs are scattered around, and Hunter's here too. Probably piss-ass drunk. All of a sudden, the Earth just shits out the game's secondary antagonist, Bianca, as well as a few of Spyro 3's enemies, Rhinox, and they begin stealing the eggs. However, on her way out with the last one, Bianca accidentally steps on Hunter's arm, which causes him to do his best Wilhelm scream and alerts everybody as to what's going on. But before anyone can catch her, she hops down one of the Earth's many buttholes and escapes. We then meet the main villain, the Sorceress, who sadly in comparison to Ripto isn't very memorable. And I'll say right now that Spyro 3's Achilles heel is its weak main antagonist.
She's better than Nasty Nork though. I mean seriously, we're comparing someone who got pissed off because they were called ugly to someone kidnapping baby dragons. There's no comparison there.
So after that, Spyro and Hunter is sent to the Forgotten Worlds to find all of the eggs and return them safely. And surprise, surprise, Spyro 3 plays exactly the same as the first 2 games, being a collectathon platformer. And while this is gonna sound weird, especially being that it runs on the same engine as Spyro 2, I feel like Spyro 3 controls the best out of all 3 PlayStation Spyro games. In fact, that's the best thing about the Spyro trilogy as a whole. Each game was a step up from the previous installment. Spyro the Dragon, good game, good platforming, good controls. Spyro 2, great game, great platforming, great controls. Spyro 3, greatest game, greatest platforming, greatest controls, oh my god. And I can hear you screaming from over there, and no, I'm not biased towards Spyro 3, nor am I blinded by those rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia. I just see it as the best game. In fact, the only flaw that I can find is that early game tutorials might be a little bit much. Some are even repeated more than once, but this is a problem that Spyro 2 also had. Spyro even moves slightly faster, which is pretty cool since in a game where the main motive is running around, you don't want to move slow. It's a shame that they got rid of that double jump glitch though. Anyways, as previously stated, the main collectible of Spyro 3 is the dragon eggs that have been hidden around all over the damn place. Some of these are so well hidden that... Oh, well, I guess, well, I was 7 seconds into the level, and I just found the egg. Alright, so listen, nobody ever said that the Rhinox were good at hiding eggs, but oh my god! It's right there! Seriously? Did the Rhinox just assume that Spyro didn't have the muscle capacity to turn his head 45 degrees to the left and find the egg? You know what? Whatever, we gotta keep moving. So it's not even 5 seconds since I found the egg, and suddenly this happens.
you're the one in charge of rescuing the eggs, huh?
Why, yes I am. In fact, you know what? That laugh was sarcastic, wasn't it?
Those eggs belong to us now, and I've hidden them in places you'll never find in 1,000 years.
That's hilarious, considering I've already found an egg.
Besides, even if you could find an egg, our expertly trained armies will dispose of you and take it back.
Okay, I don't know what Insomniac was thinking by having Bianca say that. Maybe to have her seem like more of an arrogant villain, but that just makes her look like a dumbass. It's like, imagine being in an egg hunt in real life, and all of a sudden... What the hell do you want, Pubis?
Oh, nothing much, Cal. I just have a challenge of sorts, a way for you to prove your intelligence against mine.
Okay, what is it?
Well, now that you've shown your interest, I think I'll tell you what it is. You see, I wager that you can't find the dozen eggs I've hidden somewhere in this house.
That's gotta be the easiest thing ever.
Oh, trust me, it is not as easy as it seems. Oh man, I love Square-Eyed Jack. Wait, he's British, right?
Here's your eggs, Dick Hopper. So now it's a 33-level adventure to round up all 120 baby dragon eggs, which seems a little excessive if you ask me, especially due to the fact that every dragon in the entire Spyro trilogy is a guy. Like, how does this even happen?
I can't even begin to fathom the conception of these baby dragons, which is made even more amazing due to the sheer amount of them. I mean, how many dragons can one dragon crap out in one time?
Speaking of amazing things that dragons can do, Spyro retains all of his abilities from the last game. See what I did there? You know what else is awesome here? The graphics. Remember when I said that Spyro 2 is one of the best looking PlayStation 1 games? Well, obviously I hadn't replayed Spyro 3 yet, since it is better looking than Spyro 2. Look at this level! Look at it! And as for level design, I think that Spyro 3 beats Spyro 2 just a little bit. Mini games now have their own accessible areas in which you do certain things like play frozen cat hockey, chase thieves on a supercharge, fight Chinese dragons, go down a Super Mario 64 slide, create a new... Spyro can even skateboard now, which is actually pretty fun and handles better than you might expect. The biggest thing here is that there's more of an emphasis on atmosphere within the levels. There's a level based around a bayou that's filled with ghosts, a haunted Egyptian tomb, and even a level with cowboy dinosaurs. Yeah, cowboy dinosaurs. That's fucking hardcore. The only thing missing here is the intro and outro cutscenes for levels, which really isn't that big of a deal to me, but I can understand why some people wouldn't like the change. And sadly, Spyro 3 has a stock enemy, which is the Rhinox. Yeah, it kinda sucks having to fight one enemy throughout the game, but hey, they put on costumes. But by far the most ambitious thing here that this game has going for it is the 5 additional characters that you get to control throughout the adventure.
And now I'm gonna talk about them. Because I'm not just gonna bring up 5 important characters and then toss them to the wayside. Fuck this show.
The first character that you're introduced to is Sheila the Kangaroo, who's cool not only because she's a kangaroo, but she's also Australian. And she can kick and jump really high, and overall she handles pretty well in my opinion, and is just a pretty swell person who deserves a pat on the back and an all-expense-paid trip to Jamaica because I heard that cows can walk anywhere there. To elaborate, Sheila's levels are standard platforming levels. Jump here, kill this guy, rinse and repeat. She's also Australian, so yeah, that's cool. The second character is the world's first and only flying penguin, Sergeant Bird, who has rocket launchers and is basically a James Bond parody. Sergeant Bird is, well, he's a hit and miss character. Sure, you get a ranged attack and you can fly wherever you want, but he controls pretty floaty when airborne. He can also pick things up, but this is only done a handful of times, only when the occasion calls for it. He's not very fun to play as. The third character is Bentley the Yeti, who is basically Drax the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy. Or is it the other way around? By that I mean he speaks with a very intelligent vocabulary, but appears to be very, very dumb. Like, look at this dude. He's also a pretty slow guy. How slow? Pretty slow. In fact, he's gotta be the slowest video game character I've ever controlled, which isn't a good thing since he has to cover a lot of ground. He also has a boxing minigame where you have to fight that Yeti guy from Spyro 2. It's nothing short of infuriating. This part took me so many tries, and this Yeti is such an ugly son of a bitch that I'm pretty sure when I ended up winning, I cried because of how happy I was. The fourth character that you get to play as is Agent 9. He's the best character just because of his personality. If there's any way to explain his character, he's basically the epitome of a kid who has ADHD and just snorted 2 pounds of cocaine and even injected himself with 5 needles of heroin because that's something you do.
Oh my god. He's PG Trevor Phillips. Just not banging people over counters, I guess.
That's great. That's great.
Agent 9's gameplay is the most drastic gameplay change in the game, since the game goes from being a platformer to a third-person and, even in one instance, first-person shooter. This is great, except that Agent 9 has no protection, and it's impossible to take cover behind anything, so you end up dying. A lot. And don't even try to dodge enemy bullets. That's just, it's not a good idea. And the first-person shooter section scared the shit out of me. It's seriously one of the scariest gaming experiences I've ever had, and this is a kid's game. Something about the limited view and Ninja Rhinox popping out of nowhere and beating my ass to a pulp is just terrifying.
And these 4 are sold to you by one guy. Moneybags.
Yeah, Moneybags is back in Spyro 3, and dare I say it, I prefer him here more than Charybdis Rage. He straight up insults Spyro and even goes as far as making the greatest threat in video game history.
You know what? Zombie Gorilla, this one's for you.
You shouldn't anger a magician, Spyro. I just might decide to turn you into a blue hedgehog or something.
And I can hear what you're saying. Cal, that's only 4 characters. I know. Hold your horses. I mean, you don't wipe before crap comes out of your butthole, do ya?
So, who's the 5th playable character in Spyro 3? Well, it's Sparx. Yeah, Sparx actually gets playtime here, and it's definitely playtime. His levels are just top-down shooters based around collecting gems and finding keys to open doors. The redeeming quality is, however, when you complete one of the levels, not only do you get an egg, but Sparx also gains a new ability. These range from finding gems by holding down each shoulder button to even granting Spyro with an extra hit point.
You know, I think it's safe to say that I actually like all of the characters minus Sergeant Bird, just because of those floaty controls when you're flying around, which is what you're doing most of the time that you're playing as him. It's like ice physics in the air, which, oh my god, ice physics, this game does great!
Also, you can perform one of the greatest things ever with Bentley. Behold! In the same vein of introducing additional characters, Spyro 3 also introduces vehicles. And I'll say this, the tank sucks, the UFO's cool. There, we're done. Speedways even make a return, and they're better than they were in Spyro 2. They essentially follow the same speedway formula of collect and destroy designated objects in the allotted time. However, a new race mode is introduced, where you race. That's it. You can even play as Hunter, who's hidden around in every speedway, and is hell-bent on killing every cow and sheep he sees. That alone is enough to make the game good.
But what good is a game without antagonists? It's not good.
I already said that the Sorceress isn't very memorable, which can all be credited to her lack of confrontation with Spyro. Seriously, the first time that Spyro meets her is during her boss fight. Luckily though, the boss fights in this game are a major step up from Spyro 2's bosses in all regards except for one.
Spyro doesn't meet any of the bosses until he fights them. What the hell?
That's like if Spider-Man had no interaction with any of his villains and fought them all at once and then they died. This is Spyro 3's biggest flaw, lack of interaction with the villains. The only character who isn't good that interacts with Spyro throughout the game is Bianca, and she ends up turning good 3/4 of the way through the game. You know, at least the bosses look cool and contain a good amount of difficulty. And I even enjoy the idea that the Sorceress is creating her own monsters. I just wish that there was more interaction between Spyro and the villains. And before I forget, let's talk about Spyro 3's music. Alright, the music here is pretty good, but I'm still sticking with my claim that Spyro 2 has the best music in the trilogy. It's not very Spyro-like here, which is probably because the soundtrack was composed by 2 people, Stuart Copeland and Ryan Beveridge. The funny thing is that the fan favorite track in the game, Fireworks Factory, wasn't even composed by Copeland. It was composed by Beveridge. That's pretty funny if you ask me. You know what else is pretty funny? After everything Spyro goes through here, the Sorceress survives falling in molten lava. Yeah, she just pulls herself out like nothing even happened. You know, at least they show it though. The fucking villain doesn't return out of nowhere.
Let me ask you quick. Come here. Do you remember Dragon Realms from Spyro 2? How there was that stupid flame breath. If you got 100% completion, you remember? Yeah? Okay, I see you shaking your head. Cool. This game does something better. It's called Super Bonus Round. What you do is collect Money. Collect my... I have gum.
The super bonus round is just that. It's a bonus round. You run all over the place killing thieves to collect gems, competing in a hoverboard race, which is one of the greatest struggles in video game history, and guess what? It's against the Yetis. Of all creatures, the Yetis! And it even ends with Spyro and the Sorceress having a second fight. Yeah, a second fight. In UFOs. Fun! Wow! The first twin dragons are born! Cool!
And I just 100%ed Spyro 3 for the billionth time. And there's only one real thing left to do. Look at the picture book.
Wow, Nancy finally won gold. Holy shit! That dog turned Agent 9's tail into a serpent?
It's too early. No. It's no. God, please, no. God, no. Oh my God. No. No.
This game's good. This game's bad. Oh shit, I left the oven on.